Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Tabia Lee, and I'm very thankful to be here today. Thank you to ACTA and AFSA for holding this space and all of you for being here. I'm a lifelong educator, a founding member of Free Black Thought, and our president Eric Smith is here today. I also serve as a senior fellow for Do No Harm Medicine, and recently I've done some work with the Coalition for Empowered Education as well. I'm someone who really came into this work, into national attention, due to being counseled by ideological zealots in the California community college system who subverted my tenure review process. And I'm not going to dwell on that too much because I don't think it's very helpful or instructive for people. Instead, I want to touch on some of the higher points that can be relevant to trustees and alumni in any context, with really a focus on the pillars of excellence, freedom, and academic freedom and accountability. So that's how I'll frame my remarks. And this is coming from, again, my perspective as a lifelong educator, a duly elected school board member, and someone who has been involved in school governance for many years, as long as and teaching as well. My doctorate is in educational leadership and administration, and I think leadership in those areas is so sorely needed, and moral courage in those areas is so sorely needed. So in terms of what can alumni and trustees do around academic excellence, really there's great opportunity for alumni to influence what's happening on their campuses, as well as trustees who set the visions for the districts that they serve. Really setting up some committees, oversight, overview, evaluation of the campus climate is something that is overlooked and not being engaged in enough. So how is the campus promoting free inquiry? How is critical thinking being supported through the curricula that's in action? And viewpoint diversity is a huge component that's the alumni and the trustees can set vision on in terms of hiring, in terms of the curricula that's enacted for our students, so that they're not getting a one-sided curriculum that is really in far too many places being guided by a critical social justice ideology. Are they having access to other perspectives, other ways of seeing and being? In terms of American heritage, how is that being promoted on the campus? How is pluralism being elevated and celebrated on the campus? How are the rights and responsibilities of citizens and the struggles for equal citizenship being highlighted in the curriculum? And what you'll find in many of these studies programs, gender studies, American studies, Middle East studies, anything ending in studies, it's often a very anti-American slant, and it's against American values, it's against our democratic republic, it's anti-capitalist, it's anti-imperialist, it's anti-colonialist, it's anti-racist, it's anti almost about everything that's positive about the nation. So as boards and as alumni, you can have influence on that and ask for greater viewpoint diversity and more support for what makes us great as a nation in terms of the campus programming and how we're creating partnerships for lasting change. Another thing in terms of academic freedom, setting the vision around what does that mean on campus. It doesn't just mean you teach what you want to, how you want to. There's responsibility that comes with it. So how are we protecting and promoting for faculty and students the free exchange of ideas? Not just one perspective, but many perspectives and viewpoints. Also, civil discourse, which many of the previous panelists have spoken on. And two, standards of instruction. This is an overlooked area that many boards of trustees have frankly abandoned their responsibility to their academic communities to set standards for instruction that say what is appropriate, what aligns with institutional mission and vision, and what we expect our students to learn overall. And we see it being pushed through DEI programs now because we've just literally let our responsibilities down and not paid attention to it, and other people are paying attention, and they're advancing their own version of standards and so forth. So in the past, these roles, I'm saying this as a former school board member, a lot of schmoozing and networking and fundraising and social capital building, but we really need to get back to a focus on academic integrity, stewardship, and innovation. And so in terms of accountability, I just want to touch on some of the things that can be done and that I, with my educational consultancy, work with people on. Setting policies that require viewpoint diversity in curriculum is something that alumni can influence and trustees can influence. Policies guide action. taking a look at budgets to ensure that free expression and civil discourse are key components, and viewpoint diversity are key components of those programs. That's, again, something that a trustee or board member can have direct responsibility over, looking at what programs are being funded. Are they all anti-Semitic speakers, like in the California Community College system where I worked? Is it advancing only an anti-Zionist and anti-Israel viewpoint in every program, like where I worked? If it is, that's a problem. There should be a balance of perspectives presented to students. Also, in terms of ensuring institutional neutrality, this is something that will be so useful right now and that boards and alumni can influence directly. Institutions should not be making statements on BDS or foreign policy or foreign events. That is not what learning in the institution is about. We need to get back to a focus on learning and teaching and the excellence of that. Another thing is rooting out anti-Semitic hate, discrimination, and violence on campus. And really, part of that, it doesn't come from the blue, it comes from what's taught. So really taking a look at and knowing what's happening in the curriculum in your district is key. It is a responsibility that's just as great as the fiduciary responsibilities of board members. Board members need to know what's happening and to be held accountable to the public for that as well. And then 2, ending DEI policies, toxic DEI policies that promote racial and gender ideological obsession. That is what is taking place on far too many campuses, and the trustees and the alumni have responsibility and duty to address those things and to ensure that it's not overtaking campuses the way that it has. The role that all of us play in that is so crucial. So knowing what's happening in the class, looking at governing forms of speech on campus, looking at what flags are being flown on your campus. I worked at an institution where the Black Lives Matter flag was raised above the American flag, and the Pride flag, Progress Pride flag, was raised above the American flag with the chancellor and all of the presidents standing in front of it. So this is what's happening on our campuses. There needs to be policy, guidance, and vision from our trustees and our alumni so that we can right this ship to go where we need it to go. It's our nation at risk. I don't like to use politically charged terms, but it literally is that at this moment, and we need to take action to change our policies and practices to align with our American values and our liberal democratic values that used to guide our institutions that are being subverted by communist agitators and actors who are seizing the moment. So I thank you for the opportunity, and I'm happy to talk more with others after.